welcome to Getting to the Root of It. This is a video series brought to you by Mental Dental and Colgate, where we talk with professionals in the dental field to provide background on the different career options available for dental students after graduation. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Jackson, and Dr. Tate Jackson is a diplomate of the American Board of Orthodontics who has presented original research internationally and published textbook chapters, as well as a number of journals, including the AJODO, Journal of Aesthetic and Restorative Dentistry, the European Journal of Orthodontics, and Journal of Dental Education. After practicing orthodontics full-time in Manhattan, Dr. Jackson joined the University of North Carolina, where he served as program director and vice chair for orthodontics, in addition to being a member of the Align faculty. Dr. Jackson is now Senior Director of Clinical Education for Align North America, Align, of course, being the company responsible for Invisalign aligners. And as a personal note, Dr. Jackson was a wonderful mentor to me during my time in both dental school and residency, and it's a pleasure to have you here today, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate it. It's great to check in with you. The years that you were a resident at UNC were particularly enjoyable for me, partly because of getting to interact with you, and super excited to see how well the website and YouTube channel that you have going here is doing. It's really impressive. So thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So I guess we could kind of start with a little bit of more background in terms of how you ended up where you are today. As part of your introduction, you mentioned going from private practice to faculty and now to Invisalign. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about what ultimately brought you to this part of the dental field.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been really lucky to do a few different things. Several of them I can't say that I had specific plans for, to be honest with you. So, I was lucky going through dental school and residency at UNC to have some really great mentors. I think that's something that's always so incredibly helpful, who encouraged me to pursue different activities that would really create options. So, doing that, I got to do a teaching fellowship and a clinical translational research fellowship while I was at UNC that was NIH funded, and really got that extra training, and then immediately decided to go off and practice in Manhattan. And a lot of that was because it was kind of a timing thing where an incredible opportunity presented itself. And I felt like it would be potentially a missed opportunity not to go on an adventure and practice in Manhattan. So learned a ton from that. Similarly, a full-time role was posted at UNC to be a faculty member. And I kind of had the same thought of, this doesn't necessarily happen that often. I knew I'd get to work with some great people and learn in the process. And so I said, let's go for it. So those two steps were not things where I said, hey, I know I've got to practice in this location, nor did I say, well, I absolutely must be a full-time faculty member. Likewise, experience at UNC was incredible, and an opportunity again presented itself kind of at the right time with Align, and in an area that I thought would be exciting, right? So focusing on clinical education. And so now, I'm in practice in Carborough, North Carolina, the metropolis that's next to Chapel Hill. So I get to practice, get to be a part of an organization that really tries to do its best to educate dental professionals out there. And, none of these things are things that I could have told you a few years ago were on the roadmap, but some cool opportunities that I've been privileged to get to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. I think there's some really good lessons there in terms of, number one, like it's great to have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, but I think the most important aspect to your story is that openness to be like, hey, there's this opportunity that's here. It might not come around again. It's exciting. Like, let's take that adventure and go for it. And I think having that openness to say like, hey, if something else comes along, who's to say that I can't betray my original plan and try something new that turns out to be even better than I originally planned. So I think that's great. And I think that might be a little freeing for some dental students who may think, they have only one choice and they have to make that choice second year of dental school. And after that, there's no going back. And I think you're proof that you can do different things and have some real success doing that.
Yeah, I think there's oftentimes this concept, one of the benefits of being a dentist is that you could own your own practice. You have this kind of stable entrepreneurial activity that's consistent, right? And so many great mentors for us out there have been in practice for 20 years, 30 years. So in dental school, at least I thought, okay, well, that's what I would do,
Hmm.
right? You're going to have kind of one job for a long time, and that's going to be incredible. It's a
Right.
fantastic job, right? To get to be a dentist. But the reality of life is that things change, and being open to opportunity, I think, is just a fun way to approach it, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Could you talk a little bit about your day-to-day routine with Align and what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. So it's a lot of fun. So the North American headquarters for Align is in the Raleigh area. And so, they're literally being in the office. There are a lot of different units that we get to work with, whether it's professional marketing, consumer marketing, sales, even on the product marketing side and development side, there are lots of different groups of professionals to work with in a lot of different ways. So day to day, even though the focus is clinical education, I myself am not doing a lot of teaching directly. So there's some speaking or teaching at events that I do, but we're lucky that we've got teams of people really to help facilitate the events that take place. For example, in the first 3 months this year, several hundred educational events in North America have taken place. So part of the role involves working with the professional relations group, right? So that's a team of people who work with dentists, with orthodontists, other folks in the industry who speak at educational events.
Hmm.
We've got a field clinical team, which is something that's new and different. That's a team of 4 orthodontists and 3 dentists who are positioned across North America. And they really do kind of one-on-one work with people that are out in practice, right? So just like we're,
Hmm.
communicating online right now, they do that to talk to doctors that are out there, kind of doctor to doctor, to support them in their practice. Have, a couple of other teams. And so a lot of the day involves meeting with these various teams, right? To make sure that everyone's work is kind of lining up to strategic objectives, kind of coming up with new projects and helping to lead those teams through those, depending on what strategic objectives are in play at the moment. But it's a lot of collaboration, which is really fun.
Hmm.
It's a lot of initiating projects and seeing them through. And it's a lot of communication kind of within that professional environment. But day to day, if I showed you a calendar, I mean, it changes significantly, which is really cool because I balance that with actually seeing patients. And that kind of keeps things grounded from, providing care for patients, being reminded of how things work in real life,
Yeah.
and then a few days a week interacting in this very different kind of operational environment.
Yeah, that's great. Not to put you on the spot, but are there any exciting projects that you've worked on in the past or currently that you're ex particularly excited about with Invisalign?
Sure. A lot of effort over the last year and a half or so has actually really been focused on trying to provide support for university students and people that are early in their career. So, now we have online education that's available to dental students each month. Following that, we have education that's provided to orthodontic residents, live events that we put together, as well as a grant program. So now dental students in residence at participating institutions get complimentary cases of Invisalign, so they can use those to care for their patients, and also iTero scanners. So
Mm.
really developing that whole program was something that was new. And actually 100% of the orthodontic residencies, for example, in North America right now, like participate in that grant program. So it's been really cool to try to help bring support and resources to students to just try to help them with the clinical component of their education. It's been fun. You know, we have specific programs for orthodontists that are early in their career as well. So Align has an experience center. It's an educational center in Raleigh, and yeah, we've had several hundred orthodontists now kind of come through that 2 day program.
Hmm.
So that's something that's been really fun. That's been exciting because it's easy to kind of see the impact on students, on residents, on people that are just getting started.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a bridge, back to some of the recent stuff that I've done. But I think that's some of the items that have kind of been the most exciting for me, at least recently.
Hmm. Awesome. Now, if a dental student was interested in pursuing a position at Invisalign, or they were, interested in pursuing a career path similar to yours, what kind of advice would you have for students? Should they be doing something in particular to set themselves up for that?
It's a really good question, Ryan. I think the advice that I would give is similar to advice that I've given to dental students and residents in the past when I've been lucky to have those conversations with them, which is find something that you like to do and be really excellent at doing that thing.
Hmm.
People will think getting into dental school, I've got to do a certain research thing or service thing. Or if I want to get onto residency, I've got to do something that checks a box. There's certain things that we have to do. But if you find things to do and you're really excellent at those things, that tends to stand out. So even for somebody that said, okay, well, one day I want to be a part of a clinical education team in industry or work there, excellence tends to show up. Excellence, whether it's related to really having the ability to teach and educate and help learners, that's something that could be specifically important. And certainly there's a whole world, whether it's engineering, right? Whether it's business fundamentals that can be helpful for all of us, but more specifically on the industry side, those are probably the areas where if someone really had an interest, those would be places to kind of look for opportunities to learn more. And again,
Hmm.
try to just do things that stand out with excellence.
Yeah, that's great advice. I remember you telling me that, and that is so, so true. And also, I think is a really great component of an application to dental school or to a residency where you can really find something you're excellent at. And if that intersects with something you're passionate about, and you can talk about that in an interview setting, that is just a recipe for success there.
Absolutely. And it comes through, right? It differentiates you and people can tell. So yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, Dr. Jackson, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was great getting to chat with you and talk with you on this platform. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for the opportunity, Ryan. I appreciate it.